Good morning. Today we'll start with the semi-solid dosage form. Now, as we all know that semi-solid dosage form includes mainly four types of dosage forms, that is ointment, cream, paste and gel. So today we will be focusing on ointment as a semi-solid dosage form. Now, first of all, what is the definition of ointment? So, as we all know that what are basically the semi-solid dosage form? So, these are the preparations which are actually used or which are meant for external application to the skin or mucous membrane. So these semi-solid dosage form, which include ointment, creams, they are basically the formulations or they are basically the preparations which are meant for external application to the skin or mucous membrane. So therefore, these preparations are also called as topical preparations or topical formulation. Now, what is the classification of ointment? So the ointments are basically classified into different types. According to state of medicament, the ointments are classified as medicated ointment, non-medicated ointment. So we all know that in the case of suspension, emulsion, we have discussed that the very first ingredient in the formulation is always drug. So drug is nothing but your medicament. So according to state of medicament, ointment is classified as medicated and non-medicated ointment. So the name itself indicate medicated ointment means the ointment which contains medicament or mixture of medicament in dissolved or dispersed form. When applied, it is results in the production of local or systemic effect. Now, why it will produce the systemic or local effect? Because it contains your drug or it contains the medicament. That's why that ointment is called as medicated ointment. Whereas what are non-medicated ointments? So these are the mixtures of ointment bases which are not for the local or systemic effect. So they have been used as an emollient, they are being used as a protective, or they are being used as lubricating agents, or they have the lubricating effect on the skin because they don't have any active ingredient or that they don't have the medicament. So they will not produce the local or systemic effect. So according to state of medicament, these are the two types of the ointment, medicated and non-medicated. Now second, according to site of action. Now we just now we have said that the ointment, these are basically the preparations which are to be applied onto the skin. So what is your site of action? So according to site of action, the ointments are classified as epidermal ointment, endemic ointment, diadermic ointment, because we know that as these preparations are to be applied on the surface of skin, and what is the physiology or what is the structure of your skin, we know that there are different types of layer like epidermis, dermis, hypodermis. There are different types of layers of the skin. So on which layer we are applying or what is the site of action, based on that the ointments are being classified. The first type of ointment is epidermal ointment. Now what is this epidermal ointment? So it do not possess skin penetrating properties. Okay, so these epidermal ointment, they will not be responsible for skin penetration. They will produce only the surface effects like emollient, cleansing, protective, deodorant, antimicrobial. Okay, means whatever the surface effects are there, say for example cleansing effect, say for example protective effect. If you want your skin to be protected, say for example from sun rays, UV rays, then you are using the whatever the ointment which we are using, those ointments are called as epidermal ointment. Okay, because they are not responsible for penetration into the skin, they only will produce the surface effect. Most suitable base from this class is petrolatum. Okay, because we'll discuss later on, actually in the preparation of ointment, the main component or the main ingredient is ointment base and the rest of the part is your drug only or your API only, but the maximum amount of the ingredient or excipient is your base. So epidermal ointment is prepared by using the base which is called as petrolatum. Now the second type of ointment base according to ointment according to site of action is endemic ointment. So what is endemic ointment? It releases the medicament into the layers of the epidermis but not through the skin. So as compared to epidermal ointment, it at least cross the epidermis, isn't it? Because here what we have said that these endemic ointment, they releases the drug into the epidermis. Okay, so they cross the epidermis and they release the drug there, but not through the skin. But it will not cross the other layers of the skin. For example, it will produce the keratolytic effect. Now, examples are vegetable and animal oils are suitable examples for this type of ointment. So these are being used as a basis for preparation of endemic ointment. And the next is diadermic ointment. So what is diadermic ointment? It penetrates the skin. So again, when we compare epidermal ointment, endemic ointment with diadermic ointment, first two, they will not responsible for penetration of the skin, whereas the diadermic ointment, it will penetrate the skin and it will reach the blood circulation and exert the therapeutic effect. So whatever your drug is there, when we incorporate or that medicament, when we incorporate into the diadermic ointment, so it will penetrate the skin and that drug is going to be reach the blood circulation and it will exert the therapeutic effect. Examples of the bases which are used to prepare the diadermic ointment: lanolin, wool fat, emulsifying base, polyethylene glycol. So these are the examples of bases which are used for preparation of diadermic ointment. Now next classification is according to type of ointment bases. So just now we had said that the main component of ointment is base, and the another ingredient which we are using is suppose drug. We have that part in formulation of ointment. Okay, but the main ingredient or main component is ointment base. So according to the type of ointment bases, there are four classes like oleaginous bases, absorption bases, emulsifying bases, and water soluble bases. So ointment bases are basically classified into different types. So first is oleaginous base. Now the name itself indicate oleaginous base means it is of course oil soluble. So ointment prepared by using suppose petrolatum or petroleum, certain types of waxes, some vegetables or mineral oils. So these bases, when we are using for preparation of ointment, then those ointment or those types of ointments are considered as ointments which are prepared using oleaginous base. Say for example, calamine ointment, coal tar and zinc oxide ointment. These are prepared by using oleaginous bases. The second type of ointment base is absorption base. So if we are using the bases like wool fat, lanolin or wool alcohol, they are nothing but the absorption basis ointment. Say for example, simple ointment, it is prepared by using the absorption base. Then emulsifying bases, so ointment prepared by using bases containing surface active agent. You all know that emulsifying bases, so in the name of the emulsifying bases there is emulsifying. Okay, now emulsifying means, say for example, emulsifying agent. So we know that what are emulsifying agent? They are the surfactants or they are the surface active agent. So if we are using surface active agent, then those are considered as ointments which are prepared or classified by as the ointment with emulsifying base. The example: emulsifying ointment, cetrimide emulsifying ointment, and Whitfield ointment. So these three types of ointments are being prepared by use of emulsifying bases. And the next one is water soluble base. So water soluble base, again the name indicates these bases are soluble in water. The best example is polyethylene glycol, which is also called as macragol. Okay, so therefore the example of ointment which is prepared by using water soluble base is macragol ointment. Okay, so these are the four types of or classification of ointment based on their basis. Now, next very important part is formulation of ointment. So formulation, as you all know that formulation is nothing but what? Formulation means what ingredient or what excipient along with drug which we are using for preparation of any dosage form or any what we can say formulation. So the very first ingredient in the formulation of ointment, like your suspension emulsion, is drug. So what is drug? Drugs can be formulated in semi-solid dosage form for their local or systemic effect. Like in case of medicated ointment, we have said that if the medicated ointment means they contain medicament, they contain drug, and as they contain the drug, so it will go into the systemic circulation and it will produce the local or systemic effect. They should have sufficient solubility in their respective vehicles. Now, as in case of ointment, as we had said many times that ointment contains base. Now, whatever the base which we are using, so whether that base is of which type, whether it is water soluble, whether it is oleaginous base, so accordingly you need to select your drug. Okay, if your base is suppose water soluble base, and if your drug is lipophilic drug, so what will happen? Your drug will come out from the vehicle, because base is your vehicle only, so it will come out from your vehicle. So your ointment will not get formulated, or the quality of your ointment is not good. So whatever the drugs which we are selecting, that drug should have sufficient solubility in that respective vehicle. Now the next formulation ingredient used in ointment is ointment bases. Very, very important excipient of the formulation of ointment. So before selection of any ointment base or before use of any ointment base, what are the ideal characteristics of the ointment bases? So there are some ideal characteristics, like the ointment base should be inert, it should be non-irritant, it should be non-sensitizing. Second, very important, it should be compatible with the skin pH. So pH of your skin, as we know that it is 5 to 6, 5.5. Okay, so whatever the ointment which we are preparing, the base whatever which we are using, it should be compatible with the skin pH, so that you will not feel irritation or you will not feel any reaction. They should be compatible with the medicaments and should be easy to compound. So whatever the base which we are using, it should not show any interaction or chemical reaction with the medicament. That means it should be compatible with the drug and it should be easy to compound. So whatever the base which we are using, it should be easy to compound into the form of final dosage form. They should have good solvent and emulsifying property. So whatever the base which we are using, of course it is in the, what we can say, higher amount is base only. So it should have good solvent property, as well as it should have good emulsifying property. Then it should be emollient, that is it should give you the soothing effect. We can say it should be protective, it should protect your skin from different types of sun rays, UV rays. It should be non-greasy. Okay, whenever we are applying that ointment, so your base should be non-greasy and it should be easily removable from the surface of your skin. It should be removable, it should be easily washable. So what are the types of semi-solid bases? Very important part in the formulation of ointment is types of ointment bases or types of semi-solid bases. We have already discussed in the classification of ointment. According to ointment bases, there are 4 types of what we can say the ointment, like oleaginous base, absorption base, emulsifying base, and water soluble base. So the first type of semi-solid base is oleaginous base. It is also nothing but hydrocarbon base. So very important part is they are water insoluble bases. They are not soluble in water. So they form the cohesive film on the skin. So these bases, when we are applying the ointment, they will form a film on the surface of skin. Hydrocarbon bases are available as liquid paraffin, soft paraffin, and hard paraffin. So these are some of the examples of oleaginous base. These form an occlusive film on the skin that we have seen, absorb no or less water. So as these are of course hydrocarbon bases or these are oleaginous bases, so they will not be responsible for absorption of water, or sometime they will absorb very less amount of water. These bases are stable to heat, resistant to rancidity and microbial contamination. Okay, so what are the examples? Soft paraffin, hard paraffin. So the main important parameter of these oleaginous bases, they are water insoluble, will not absorb water, or they will absorb very small amount of water. The second type of base is absorption base. So these bases are generally anhydrous substances and capable of absorbing considerable quantities of water to form W by O type of emulsion. Okay, so absorption basis name itself indicate absorption means they will absorb some amount of water, and by absorption of water they will be responsible for formation of W by O type of emulsion. Now in comparison to the oleaginous base, these absorption bases are of course anhydrous. They are again water insoluble similar to that of oleaginous base, and they are not washable by water but permit easy inclusion of water or an aqueous solution of drug. So these bases, absorption bases, they are also water insoluble as well as they are not washable by water, because see, they are water insoluble, so you cannot wash them with the water easily. The absorption bases are basically of two types: non-emulsified bases as well as water in oil emulsion. The example of absorption base, wool fat, hydrous wool fat, that is also called as lanolin. So it is very important. Wool fat is nothing but anhydrous lanolin. Okay, whereas hydrous wool fat, it is called as lanolin. Then wool alcohol and beeswax, these are some of the examples of absorption base. Then what are emulsifying bases? So emulsifying bases means again they are water insoluble like that of absorption base, like that of oleaginous base, but miscible and washable type of O by W emulsion. They are water insoluble, but they are miscible types of bases and they are easily washable. Whereas in the last point, that is in case of absorption base, we have discussed they are not washable by water. Whereas these emulsifying bases, they are easily washed with the help of water. Now, what are the examples we have discussed earlier in the classification? Emulsifying bases, basically they contain the surface active agent. So they contain hydrophilic surfactants which are either anionic, cationic or non-ionic type. You know that surfactants are classified as anionic surfactant, cationic surfactant, non-ionic surfactant. And what are surfactant? As these are what we can say, these are water miscible, or as the surfactants are we can say amphiphilic. Many times they are cationic also, anionic also, or non-ionic also. So depending on their category, they enhance the percutaneous absorption of drug. Okay, so the presence of surfactant enhance the percutaneous absorption of drug means when we use these emulsifying bases, it helps in increasing the absorption of drug through different layers of skin. The example, of course, cetrimide, because these are surface active agent. Okay, emulsifying bases means they contain the surfactant. So examples are the surfactants only. That is cetrimide, it is the cationic surfactant, and another example is cytomacragol. It is non-ionic surfactant. Then the next type of ointment base is water soluble bases. So the name itself indicate water soluble bases means of course they are soluble in water. Now if they are soluble in water, that means they are also easily washable also. Okay, so the water soluble bases consist of water soluble ingredients. Why they are water soluble? Because they contain water soluble ingredient, whereas in rest of the bases we have the ingredient which are either oil, which are either wax, okay, which are either what we can say the fatty acids, isn't it? Whereas in water soluble bases, there are the water soluble ingredients are present, like polyethylene glycol polymers, which are popularly known as carbovaxes. Product of required consistency can be produced using combination of PEG of various molecular weight. If you remember, or if you know, PEG is being available in different molecular weight, like polyethylene glycol 400, 2000, 4000, 8000, 6000. So these are the different grades of polyethylene glycol depending on its molecular weight. So if you want the ointment of, say for example, more consistency, so you can use more molecular weight of polyethylene glycol. Now according to the molecular weight, some polyethylene glycols, they are available in liquid form, some are available in solid form also. So according to the required consistency of your product, you can select the grade of polyethylene glycol. These have limited capacity to absorb the water without physical change, but incorporation of 5% cetyl alcohol increases the water absorption. Now, these are water soluble bases, but they have limited capacity to absorb the water. But if we incorporate 5% of cetyl alcohol, their water absorption property goes on increasing. Now, very important property of these water soluble bases, of course, they are soluble in water, so they are water soluble. If they are soluble in water, that means they are easily washable. And non-occlusive bases. Why non-occlusive? Because these are being easily removed from the surface of skin with the help of water. So these are easily what we can say, washable bases. So therefore, there is no occlusiveness, and they do not produce protective and emollient effect. Understood? So these are the 4 types of ointment bases. Now the third uh, ingredient or additive used in the preparation of ointment is, many a times we required buffer. Very important, because just now we have said that whatever the base which we are using for preparation of ointment, it should be compatible with the skin. Okay, whatever the pH of your skin, your base should have the same pH. So for maintenance of pH, we need to add buffers. So these are added in the semi-solid dosage form for various purposes, to maintain the pH also, such as compatibility with the skin. Okay, so your whatever the formulation which we are preparing, that formulation should be compatible with your skin, in the sense it should have same pH as that of your skin, the drug solubility as well as stability. Your formulation should be stable. The skin, due to its weak acidic nature, tolerates weak acidic medicines to greater extent than alkaline formulation. Now, what are the examples of buffer? Sodium acetate, sodium citrate, potassium metaphosphate are some of the examples of buffers which you can use in the preparation of semi-solid dosage form. Then after buffer, very important is antioxidant, because we know that we are using oleaginous base, we are using emulsifying base. Now oleaginous base contain oil, emulsifying bases contain oil. So what are these oils? Basically these oils are prone to oxidation. Okay, these oils undergoes autooxidation. This oil undergoes oxidation in presence of moisture. In presence of oxygen. So it is very important to add antioxidant to prevent that oxidation of your oil. Now, if your oil undergoes oxidation, so what will happen? Because of oxidation, your polymer, whatever the formulation is there, that formulation becomes rancid. That formulation becomes destroyed. Okay, so it is very important to add antioxidant in your preparation. Whenever there is oil in your preparation, we need to add antioxidant. Now again, antioxidants, they are water soluble also, they are water insoluble also. Okay, there are 2 types of antioxidants. So if the base which we are using is water soluble base, so we can go for selection of water soluble antioxidants. Say for example, your tocopherol, say for example ascorbic acid, it is example of water soluble antioxidant. Whereas if we are using the oleaginous base means oil is there. Okay, so in that case we are going to use oil soluble antioxidants, such as the BHT, butylated hydroxy toluene, butylated hydroxy anisole, tocopherol, and propyl or methyl gallate. These are some of the examples of oil soluble antioxidant. Whereas ascorbic acid, sodium bisulfite, sodium metabisulfite, these are the examples of water soluble antioxidant. Now after antioxidant, again we have said that along with oil, your ointment also contains the water. Okay, so whenever there is a water in preparation, we know that there are chances of microbial contamination, as water is the main source of microbial contamination, or it is a good media for microbial growth. So whatever the ointment which contains water instead of oil, they need addition of preservatives. Okay, so in addition to orally safe preservatives such as methyl propyl paraben, there are some other examples of preservatives which are being used in the topical preparation. For example, benzoic acid, sodium benzoate, phenol, cresol, and benzalkonium chloride. So these are some of the examples of preservatives which are used in semi-solid preparations or topical preparations. Then after preservatives, the next one is organoleptic additives. So like in the last lecture only we have discussed organoleptic additives, means these are the additives which are responsible for maintenance, or we can say which are responsible for the organoleptic properties of your formulation, like your color, odor, taste. So here, in case of the organoleptic additives, the cosmetic value of topical preparation is a major criterion for the acceptance of product. Of course, these topical preparations have more cosmetic value. We have seen many ointments, many creams, many gels are available, which comes under the category of cosmetic. So this cosmetic value of your topical preparation is very, very important criteria or major criteria. The semi-solid preparation should be creamy white or of a faint appealing color, soft and smooth to touch and pleasantly perfume. So important characteristic of your semi-solid preparation should be, it should be what we can say creamy white formulation with a faint color. It should be very smooth, soft to touch and pleasantly perfume. Now to acquire all these property, we need to add some organoleptic additives. Say for example, we need to add color, we need to add perfume, we need to add flavor. So both natural as well as certified dyes and lakes are useful colors for topical preparation. So you can use dyes also, you can use lakes also. Now, example of coloring agent, say for example, eosin dye, that is DNC red number 22, then fluorescein dye, that is DNC yellow number 7. So these are the examples of coloring agent. Now, if you again want to increase the acceptance of your product in market, you need to add flavoring agent also. So if you want, you can add any perfume like flower based perfume such as lavender, rose and jasmine are being used or added in the preparation of ointment. Understood? So these are the various formulation excipients or ingredient which are to be added in the preparation of ointment. The starting with drug, then the ointment bases. So according to the base, we need to select the drug. Then we need to add buffer to maintain the compatibility of your preparation with the skin, as well as to maintain the pH of your formulation so that it should be compatible with the skin. Then after buffer, we need to add antioxidant to prevent the oxidation of your product from the oxygen or in presence of oxygen. Then preservative, as water is the vehicle most of the time we are using, so preservatives are required. Then organoleptic additives to increase or we can say to improve the acceptance of your product in market, we need to add some organoleptic additives. Understood? Thank you.